Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Behind the Screen. So today I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, which is sensory experiences. So what I mean by that, so when Dungeons and Dragons first started, when it was first created, it was really like a pencil and paper with some dice game. And that was it. And then people started drawing maps and it suddenly became a visual experience as well as in your mind, in the realm of imagination. And over time, we've started to include all of our other senses while we're playing this game. So first of all, I want to talk about role playing, and I want to talk about from the player's perspective, and then we'll go behind the screen and we'll actually talk about what I'm going for. But first, when you're role playing, so I play as well as DM from time to time, is there anything that you as an individual bring to the game to help you get into character? So I have a tendency to play with a bunch of people who are very role play heavy, and so there's a lot that I feel like I need to bring as myself to be able to give my character life. Now, I know people who wear particular rings, or they always put their hair in a certain way. It could be a particular piece of clothing, something that helps them get into character. A lot of people I know do voices, which is really cool, but not everybody can do a voice. So I know there are different ways for people to try to sort of immerse themselves in their character. And that is one way to start mentally prepping yourself to have a full sensory experience. So if you're one of those people, that's awesome. If you're not, it's something to think about, especially as you go into other games with other people, that they are potentially not playing themselves. They're playing their characters, and so they're trying to get into that mindset, and they're, you know, maybe their character doesn't drink, and so they don't drink at the table, but they would love to go get a beer afterwards, or I mean, it could be anything. It could be anything. But what I want to go back to is this idea of the full sensory experience. So obviously we have 5 senses: sight, touch, hearing, smell, and taste. And I sort of want to walk through them. If I feel like I'm a first grade teacher. But so it started with maps, and it started with drawn maps on graph paper. And then from maps we got miniatures. So whether that was a bottle cap or a plastic figure or some sort of standee, or, you know, today now we have 3D printed miniatures or something from Pure Forge, or, you know, like even, I don't know, something pewter that you put together yourself from all of the reprint. I don't know, it could be anything. You could have anything be a miniature. I have kids in the kids D&D group that I play with. They built Lego figures, and those are their miniatures. So going from a 2-dimensional to a 3-dimensional situation with just a flat map on the table to now moving characters around on a map on a table. That takes in the concept of both sight and touch. You are physically moving, you are seeing the map. And from maps we also get this expansion into terrain. So not every situation calls for a map or for terrain, but when you pull out that map, or you pull out that expertly crafted 3D terrain, it adds something extra to the player's experience beyond the typical map or mini situation. It gives them another opportunity to start immersing themselves into the experience that they're having. You know, this could be cardboard, stand, rooms. I mean, you can build a 3D terrain pretty much out of anything. I mean, or you can get fancy. We have 3D printed terrain, or you could have Dwarven Forge terrain. There's a lot of terrain options out there. I mean, you could just get, if you are out in the middle of a forest, you could go buy miniature trees for sure, or you could just tear up some pieces of foam and build rocks, and you could be in a rocky wasteland desert. I don't know, it could be anything. You're using your imagination still, but you're incorporating sort of cheats to help guide your players through the experience that you want them to have. So we have sight and we have touch. Those are pretty easily covered. I think both of those are pretty much a given. I mean, not everyone's gonna have Dwarven Forge, but you're gonna have some sort of map for people to look at, and you're definitely gonna have minis for the most part in today's day and age. Or if not, I'm talking about in-person play, of course. I'm not talking about online play, but if you're sitting around a table, most likely you have maps and you have miniatures. Now, additionally, people like to incorporate music. So being able to hear the sounds of what's going on or set a tone with music. I mean, it could be a soundtrack from, I was in a game this past weekend and we used the soundtrack from Tron because it was a space thing, and I was like, that is so cool, of course. Or you could use, there's a bunch of resources available online for free music to listen to, that's soundscape sort of things. Or Sirenscape is a great paid option for that as well if you're interested in actually building out sound sets for your different locations. I have Sirenscape and I have a sound set creator, and it is so much fun to put together sound sets that your players are gonna love and then be able to like do the battle cry at the right moment. That really pulls them in and helps them gel together as a team, and they really are starting to experience this as their character as they're sitting around the table. So one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this today is, I don't know if any of you caught the video on Monday or on Tuesday, but we did a review of cantrip candles. Now, these are candles that are specifically scented for RPG experiences. This one I've happened to pick up Sanctuary, but each one has a different scent. Now, these are the tester ones. I have regular size ones too. But in order to create a sensory smell experience for your players, again, smell is one of those things that is hard necessarily to put a finger on until you smell it. Then you're like, yeah, that's exactly what that smells like. I feel like I'm actually there. And often sense memories can be linked to smell. And so they might remember something from their childhood that they haven't remembered before, and it like strikes a chord in a different way. Or if they smell it in the future, it will remind them of that session that they were in when they smelled it for the first time. So you could use anything really. It could be air freshener, it could be incense, it could be Yankee Candle scented candles, it could be cantrip candles. There are ways that you could potentially incorporate that into your game to make your game even more immersive for your players. And then finally, this is one that I haven't actually incorporated yet. Not that I've incorporated scent yet, but I will on Saturday when I play. But our last sense that we haven't touched on yet is actually taste. So taste is a little tricky because everybody has different taste buds. But the suggestion actually that I've heard from Eric, who you guys saw in the Starfinder video from last week, he actually has this great idea where he says that, you know, what if when you get hit with a fireball, you have to eat a Red Hot, or like, if you get hit with a ray of frost, you have to have like a winter fresh mint or like a Mentos or something. Or, you know, like being able to equate a candy or a treat or some like small snack to an event that happens in the game, thus tying those things together. Again, creating links between multiple senses and your memory as you're experiencing it, creating a more dynamic game for your players, which is really cool if you think about it, because as you start to incorporate all of these different senses together, it becomes a complete sensory experience. It's really a full body experience for them, even if you're not LARPing, even if you're not necessarily standing up and doing this as your character. You are creating sense memories that will last just as long as if you were actually out doing it. And there have been studies that show that when you're sitting around role-playing at a table, those are actually memories that you're creating with your characters, and it feels like you're the one there and you're creating really tight bonds with the people who are sitting around the table. I totally buy into that, and I think that there's something to be said for how you develop your characters and how you help your players develop their characters to create the most meaningful experience you can in the amount of time you have to role play or to play a game. Now, if you have players that aren't particularly role play players, they're still going to appreciate this sensory experience, because it will, even if they're not role players, it will pull them in to the story in a different way than just having you narrate or describe or, you know, draw a map on the table, each of these things progressively are going to pull them closer to the story and help make their experience even better. Now, I do have one other thing that someone suggested, which I think is super dangerous, so you should maybe not try it at home unless you have a lot of friends that you're willing to have. This could be maybe for a very short one shot, but I thought it was really funny, so I just thought I would mention it here, which is that for healing potions, you take shots whenever you have to take a healing potion. Now, that's a very terrible idea. Don't actually do it, but it made me smile and it made me laugh when I heard it, because I was like, you know, there would be some way that you could probably incorporate some sort of drink or potion, you know, potion of healing into your game with some sort of liquid that you would imbibe. Now, of course, if you're a crazy person, you could make it into shots, but you could also take shots of water. You could take shots of Kool-Aid. You could have anything you wanted, but I just thought that that was a really fun idea. So what other sort of sensory experience things have you encountered with your players or yourself around the table? Now, obviously, I'm not talking about actual LARPing or live action role playing. I'm talking about you're still sitting around the table and your avatar is your miniature on the table. You are not actually acting it out yourself unless you're having a very intense RP session with someone. But what other sensory tricks have you as a DM brought to your players that they've enjoyed that I could add to my repertoire? Because you know me, I'm always looking for new tricks. So yeah, so make sure you comment below. I've gotten some great comments in previous videos and I really appreciate everyone who has taken the time to respond. I really, really, really do appreciate it. You guys are excellent. But yes, so make sure you're hitting all your senses when you're thinking about your game and how you want to plan it out. Although maybe avoid the really gross smelling sewers unless you have a really good reason why they want to basically run out of the room. But yeah, I think there could be some really fun ways to tie in some sensory experiences that we haven't quite tapped into yet, especially when it comes to smell and to taste. And I'm excited to explore them. I'm excited to try it out. You just have to have players who are willing to get their hands dirty when it comes to like really getting in deep with their characters and playing a good game. So I think that's gonna be it today, guys. If you have any thoughts, make sure to leave them below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and support if you want to. We're on Patreon now. And until next week, happy adventuring. Bye, guys.